Haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Ches Amud Beis. Daf Ches Amud Aleph, the new Mishnah Halacha Beis. The Mishnah discusses the withdrawal of the Machzis HaShekel. Says the Mishnah, B'sholosh kupois, shel sholosh se'in, tormin es halishka. There were 3 kupois, and each kupa had the amount of 3 sa'ah. V'kosuv alein Aleph Beis Gimel. Rabbi Yishmael Oimer Yevonis Ksiv. Kosuv alein Alpha Beisa Gamma. The Mishnah goes on to say, Ein Tarim Nichnas Loi Lepargur Chafus. In regards to the one who would withdraw, so they want to make sure that he didn't then take anything. There was no chashad, and therefore he could not wear a pargur chafus, a certain beged that had pockets. V'lo b'minal, v'lo b'sandal, not with shoes or sandals. Again, so he shouldn't hide any of the machzis hashekel inside. V'lo b'tfilin, not with his tfilin either. V'lo kameya, and not with a kameya which has different shemois, with a leather pouch. Again, not to then hide any machzis hashekel. Shema ya'ani v'yoimrum me'ovon halishka ha'ani. Maybe in the future, this person will become poor, and they'll say it was a result of him taking from the lishka. Or shema ya'ashir v'yoimrum mitrumas halishka ha'asher. Or perhaps he will become wealthy, and they'll accuse him of becoming wealthy as a result of stealing from the trumas halishka. A person has to be careful to be clean, to be innocent in the eyes of Hashem as well as in the eyes of other people. Chanel brings a pasuk, V'yisem nekim me Hashem Yisrael. When Moshe Rabbeinu was telling Bnei Gad or Bnei Reuven, who did not want to take a chelik in Eretz Yisrael but wanted to take their chelik in Aver LaYarden, so he said that they must first go in the front lines to be koivesh the land. Why? So that people then would not suspect them of ulterior motives, and they'll be nikim, clean from Hashem and from Yisrael. V'oimer, and it says umitzochein v'seichel toiv be'einei Elokim ve'odam, and shall find chein and a seichel tov in the eyes of both Hashem and your fellow man. Says the Gemara, Toman Tanina, we learned over there the following. Here talking about a Mishnah in Shabbos, Mefanin, Afilu Dali V'chamesh Kupas. There the Mishnah states that although the Chachamim were goyzer on Shabbos, that it shouldn't be something that's uvdin dechol, something that's not appropriate, that doesn't appear to be appropriate for Shabbos, and therefore by taking and exerting oneself, by taking too many kupos, that would be a problem. But it says 4 or 5 he can take. So Rabbi Zeir Shoal as Rabbi Yoshia, Kama hu shiurin shel kupas. What is the measurement? What is the amount of each kupa? It says over there in the Mishnah that one could, yes, mefane 4 or 5. What are we talking about? Omar lei, Rav Yoshia, he responded on top of Ches Amud Beis, Nilmoid sosum min mafarish. We will learn that which was sosum, referring to the measurement in Shabbos which is not spoken about, from that which was spoken about mefurash over here in regard to the machzis hashekel. The Tanya, it says in a brayso, b'sholosh kuposh shel sholosh sein shehein tisha sein. There are 3 kuposh, each one of 3 sa, which is a total of 9 sa. Shehein esrim v'sheva sein tormin es halishka, and that's done 3 times a year. So 9 times 3 gives you 27 sa. So that's in regards to the Trumas Hadeshin. The Trumas Halishka in regards to the Machzis Shekel. The Kosuv Aleihen, and it's written on them, Aleph Beis Gimel. The Brayso goes on to say, and it's written on these 3 kupos, Aleph Beis and Gimel. Mibnei Ma Kosuv Aleihen Aleph Beis Gimel. Why, ask the Brayso, do we have to then indicate each kupa is Aleph, and the other one is Beis, and the other one is Gimel? Loimar, to teach you, mistapik mina rishoino koidem lishnia, umina shnia lekoidem lishlishis, because they have to first take from the first of the kupa, that which is first readily available in terms of the mitzvah that gets din kedima, and then take the Masechet Shekalim from the second one. And the second should have to precede the third as well. So it has to be done in this order. So from his brisa we learn then that when it comes to be mefanin 4 or 5 kupos, the measurement of a kupa, as we learn over here in regards to Masechet Shekel, is 3 saw each. Taman Tanino, we learn over there again a Mishnah in Masechet Shabbos. Hamoitzi yayin kidei mezigas hakois. In regards to the malach of hoitzah, from bringing from a Yeshua Yochi to Yeshua Rabbim or vice versa, then we have to refer to a certain amount which is considered to be chashuv, that is considered to be a malacha de araisa. So the Mishnah states over there, Hamoitzi yayin kidei mezigas hakois, that a person who takes out wine, let's say from a Yeshua Yochid to the Yeshua Rabbim, and it's the amount of wine that is kidei mezigas hakois. So that means that you take this wine which is undiluted, and then you would dilute it with water. It will be a kois that is mixed. That's considered to be a kos of wine. Rabbi Ze'era Shal as Rabbi Yoshia, Kameshu and Shalkois. How much is the measurement of a kois that we're talking about? That's going to be a mezigas hakois. Omar Lei, Rabbi Shia responded, Nil moitzasu min hamafarish. Again, let us learn out that which is not spoken about in the case of hoitzah from that which is spoken about in the following case of Dalit Koisos in Leil HaSeder, the Tani Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia taught, Arba Koisos she'amru yeshnon revis shel yayin bitalki. In regard to the 4 Koisos that's used on Leil HaSeder, so he says that it has to have a revis of wine, of Italian wine. In other words, the wine has to be 1 part and 3 parts water. Rabbi Yosi bar Avin mishum Rabbi Yochanan, the Rabbi Yehuda. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani mayim kidei gamia. It states water is the amount of a gamia for a gulp. That would be the amount in terms of being chayiv for hoitzah. Rabbi Yehuda oimer kidei lo shuv bohen hasakilor. He says to then wipe to wipe the and mix with a kilor, which is a balm that's put on the eyes. They used to take a paste. They would make a paste rather from taking a powdery substance and mix it with water and then use it as a balm for the eye. So this is the amount of water that we're talking about, which is going to be less than the amount of the Tanakama. Then in regards to wine, it says Yain Kidei Gamia. It says wine, which is according to Tanakama, the amount of a gulp. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Kidei Mezigas HaKois. He says the amount of wine, because Mezigas HaKois, that means 1 part, again, wine, and 3 parts water. So again, this is the Tana of Rabbi Yehuda, and that answers the question of the Mishnah over there. What's considered to be the amount won't be chayiv hoitzah for in regards to wine? The 1 part of wine that's undiluted is enough of 1 part of the revi is enough to be mechayiv a person for hoitzah. Mazug bekama, asking him, what's this mean that it's going to be mixed together, the wine and the water? Nishmeina min hada, let us hear from the following. Mayim kidei gemia. Again, Tanakama says water is going to be a gulp. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer kidei lashuv bohen hazakilor. He says the amount of water that is going to then mix with the balm. Yayin kidei gemia. Tanakama says in regards to wine, it's a gulp. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer kidei mezigas hakois. In regards to the mixing of a kois. Hada amar mizug kidei mezigas hakois. From here you see that mizug is mizigas hakois, which again we're talking about 1 part undiluted wine and 3 parts water, which will make the dilution of the mezigas hakois. I kamashu and shalkois. What is the amount of a kois which is going to be diluted? Rabbi Avin Omar tirturtun v'revia. They had a measurement in times of Chazal called a tirtun. That and a revia is the amount of a kois. Ask the Gemara, Ma'u lishtoison bekerech echod. What happens if you drink of the dalit koisos? You drink them all together. You have all dalit koisos in front of you, and one after the next, you drink the dalit koisos. Are you yoytze? So the Mudama Rabbi Manama Rabbi Yosi Halil im Shoman. When it comes to Halil, if you heard the Halil be Beis HaKnesses Yotza. Now there's the Halil that we say on Leila Seder. We say 2 paragraphs before the at the end of Magid, and then we say also the rest of the Halil after Birkas HaMazon. So what happens if a person heard all the entire Halil in Shul, in the Beis HaKnesses? Hada Amra im, so he's Yotza. So Hada Amra, so we see from over here that there's an interruption. That indeed over here, that a person, we see over here that if he's Yotzi the Halil from the Beis HaKnesses, that means that when it comes to between the third and the fourth kois, he's not saying Halil, and that would be without an interruption. He can drink the koises together. So l'char, that would answer this question. You can drink all 4 koises together. Hada Amra im Shosan bekerech echad yotza. Now this Yerushalmi is disagreed upon by the Bavli, because in Maseches Psochim Daf Kuf Ches Amud Beis, there we have a statement that Rav said, Yidei Yayin, if you're Shosim B'Basach, is one who drank the Dal Kosis, what we're explaining all together, one after the next. So it says, according to Rav over here, Yidei Yayin Yotza, Yayin is Yotzi, because that's Simchas Hachag, but Yidei Arba Kosis Lo Yotza. He's not going to be then fulfilling the mitzvah of the Dalit Koisos, which have to be done B'dafka, in a way that's going to be choshuv, as explained by the Rashbam over here, that the Dalit Kois, he's not Yatza, because we explain because each kois is corresponding to a different part of the Haggadah, and like the Yerushalmi itself says that each kois corresponds to one of the Dalit Lishonos HaGeula, and therefore, if you drink it all at once, you're not going to then fulfill the Dalit Koisos as it was enacted by Chazal. Says the Gemara with the following question: Ma'u lishtoisen bepiskon? Can you go ahead and drink the kois of the Dalit Koisos with hefsekin? So the Chorab means that even if you don't drink it all bebas achas, that the revis is bebas achas, but what about kedei achilas pras? Klum amru sheyishte. The Gemara says, did it not say that all you need to do is to drink? And we'll go with the girsa of the tiklin charitin over here that skips the word lo and says, kedei sheyishte v'lo sheyishtaker. That means the whole purpose is to drink and not to become drunk. They don't want you to become drunk because they want you to say the Haggadah, say the Halal as well. That's why they say they can't drink between the third and fourth kois, because you might not then fulfill then the rest of the Haggadah. So im shasa bepiskan afu eno mishtaker. If he then drinks slowly from the kois, so then he's not going to mishtaker. So you fulfill your mitzvah of dalit koisos. Mao asked the Gemara, let's say yain shel shvis. Can you use yain shel shvis for your dalit koisos? Tani Rav Oshaya yoitzim beyain shel shvis. Indeed, you could be yoitzei. Mao, let's say ditin, can you be yotzei your yayin that's with spices inside of it? Maybe that takes away from the yayin itself. Meditani bar kapora kunditin yike yayin. From the fact that bar kapora taught that kunditin, this is also like wine. Therefore, you could hada amro yotzim beyayin koditin. Ask the Gemara, Ma'u, let's say it's beyayin mezugin. Can you be yotzei with yayin mezugin? The chara that we learned before, that the yayin is dafka, made to be then diluted with water, and it has to be the proper amount. Says the Gemara, Meditoni Rab Chia, Arba kois sham yotzim ben bein chayim bein mezugin. Here Rab Chia says you're yotzei with your yayin, whether it is undiluted or diluted. Ubilvad she'ed bohen tam umare yayin, providing that it has both the tam, the taste, as well as the mare of the yayin. The Bavli also is choylek on this. The same daf that we said before in daf Kuf Ches Amud Aleph, There, the Gemara also says the question. It says Shesoin Chai is Yotza, and the Gemara says Yidei Yayin Yotza, Yidei Chayros Lo Yotza. Again, when you drink it undiluted, you're Yotze with the Simcha of the Chag, but the Chayrus, you're not Yotza, because that's not the Derech of Malachim to drink something that's undiluted. So again, the Baalvi is Choylek on this Gemara. Putting back to our Gemara, the Gemara says, Ubilvad, that which you drink, the Dalit Koisois that are undiluted, it says, Ubavad sheyeh bohen tam umar yayin, provided that they have the taste and they have the appearance of wine. Rabbi Yirmiyahu mitzvah latzeis b'yayin adoim. He says it's a mitzvah to use red wine. In other words, it's preferable to use wine that is red on Leila Seder. Shneimar says, Al teira yayin ki yis adam. It says, don't look at the wine, for it is red. Ki yitain bekois einoi, for you shall put your eyes on the kois. From here we see that the wine is referred to as being red. There the pasuk is talking about the person should not overindulge in wine because it'll ruin his judgment. Al kopanim, the ideal is to use wine that is red. Tani mevushal kimetubal. It's taught in the Brisa that a wine that is mevushal, that has been cooked, that is kimetubal. Ma'u asked the Gemara, let's say it's b'yayin mevushal, can you be yoytze your day chayvasa shadal koises with yayin that's mevushal? Amar Rabbi Yonah, yoytzim b'yayin mevushal, you could indeed be yoytze with my mevushal. It's much from over here that it's not the ideal, but indeed you could be yoytze. Rabbi Yonah, l'taimeh, the Gemara says, Rabbi Yonah, according to his own reasoning, the Rabbi Yonah, kad hava shosi arba kosi de pischo, hava chazik reisha ad chago. It says that he was so sensitive, he had to force himself to drink dalit koises on Leila Seder, and he would have a headache all the way until the Chag of Shavuos. And it says over here, so therefore, l'shitoso, he would drink then and allow yain mevushal because it wasn't as powerful and potent as the regular wine. Chamise, the Gemara brings a ma'isa. Chamise chada metrunisa afui nihirin. There was a certain aristocratic woman who saw that his face was radiant. Amra, she said, Sabo, chada mahani tlas milin isbach. Old man, one of the following three things must be by you. Oy deshosui chamroat. Either you have drunk a lot of wine. Oy the malve beribis at, or you have given loans with interest, making a big profit. Oy the megadel chazire at, or you raise pigs, which that self is a profitable type of profession. Or marle, the sage said back to her, tipuch rucha dahi itza. There should be a spirit that should become, that should cause her agmas nefesh, this woman, because the chada me'elin tlas milya lesbin. Not one of the three things are found in me. First of all, I didn't drink a lot of wine. Number two, I don't certainly lend money with ribis. It's also minatara, and also the chacham forbade raising chazirin. So certainly none of this applies to me. Ella ulfani shechiachli. Rather, the learning of the Torah, the teaching of the Torah, that's found by me. The hachiksi, because it's written in the pasuk, and it's written in the pasuk, chochmas adam ta'ir panov. It was the wisdom that was illuminating from his face. Rabbi Abo Osi the Taveria, Rabbi Alfsi, the Gemara Avo rather, says that he came to Taveria. Chamnune Talmidoyoy, the Rabbi Yochanan Afui Nehurin. The Talmid Rabbi Yochanan saw that his face was radiant. Omrun Talmidim Rabbi Yochanan. The Talmidim Rabbi Yochanan said to him, to Rabbi Yochanan, Eshkach Rabbi Abo Simo. It seems to be that Rabbi Abo, he found a treasure. Also Legabe, he came to him. That means Rabbi Yochanan came to Rabbi Abo. Omar he said to him, My Oraisa Chades Shmaisa. Shamis, what new Torah did you hear? Trying to understand what's causing his face to become so radiant. Or Marley, Rabbi Abo answered Rabbi Yochanan, Tosefta Atika. I came across a new Tosefta that had chidushim that I never heard before and caused me to become besimcha. Karalea, Rabbi Yochanan called upon him, Chachmas Adam Ta'ir Panav. The wisdom of a person radiates, illuminates his face. Rabbi Chanina said, going to then the measurement of a revis, Luga de Araisa, the lug of the Torah, is Tamunsa Atika, is an old shear called a Tamnusa, the Maraisa de Tzipuri, that was used to measure the Maraisa de Tzipori. That means that the fish that was cooked in its own juice, right, its own oil. If tzipori, that was what they used to measure in tzipori. So it comes out that this was the measurement. They said of a lug midiraisa. Omar Rabbi Yoina said, "V'chachmonallah." He says, I remember the base. Rabbi Yoina, I have a mechilin bodvash. Rabbi Yoina used to use a kli that would hold the vash that we're talking about over here. That would be the shear that we're talking about. Tani the Gemara brings a brayso. Chatzi shminis tevarnis hayishana. That which would hold the revis was a chatzi shminis of teveria, of an old teveria that they used to measure. On top of Tezamid Aleph, Amar B'Yochanan, Hadin Hadein Didon, who he says this is also what we have today, this type of measurement. V'lama Kari Le'atika. I asked the Gemara if Rabbi Yochanan has it, so why did the Tana, which is much earlier in Rabbi Yochanan, call it an old measurement of Teveria? Says the Gemara, because min begain that. Oh, it's part of the question. V'lama Kari Le'atika min begain the have b'yomi, if it was still in the times of Rabbi Yochanan. Answers the Gemara, is the amrei the havos ze'ira v'absa. Some say that it was small and it became enlarged. The is the amrei is ze'ira v'loy azira b'ma the havos. Some say that even if it was enlarged, it became smaller, reduced, but not to the same size as it originally was. And therefore, the Gemara is saying that is the amount that Rabbi Yochanan had to say that today's amount, because if you use the amount that it was before, it was going to be considered a bigger amount. Ask the Gemara, Kamahu shir shel kois. What is the shir shel kois? Ask the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Yossi ben Pazi, Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi b'shem Rabbi Shmuel, etzboim al rum etzba umechza v'shlish etzba. The amount of a kois, which we're talking about, is a revis, which means a revis of a lug. That comes out to be 2 etzba, and each etzba is the middle part of the agudal, and 2 of those, and 1 1/2 and 1/3 of the height of an etzba. That comes out to be then the volume of a revis.